eye naturally seeks the light and vision, and our body naturally desires food and drink. So our mind is possessed with a becoming and natural desire to become acquainted with the truth of God and the causes of things. Origen of Alexandria. Because Black history is in fact church history, one notable church father to consider is Origen. He is perhaps the greatest scholar of the early church, mentored by Clemente and groomed in the schools of Alexandria, which was the intellectual capital of the world at this point. Origen was considered a theological genius and was the first to expound Christian doctrine in a systematic way. He was around 17 years old when persecution of the church reached his hometown of Alexandria. It cost him greatly, as his father was among those martyred for the faith. Nevertheless, the attempt to snuff out the faith only resulted in fanning his flame even more. Origen committed himself to a life of extreme discipline and strict devotion to the scriptures. He is most known for introducing an allegorical approach to interpretive Bible study. And it's so interesting because after being in a context that's known for its extreme intellectualism, he offers this view that somehow there's this cap to our intellectual capacity. In other words, when it comes to the things of God, being smart will only get you so far. So you have to be the most intelligent person here, and he's telling everybody else there are still things about God that I don't even understand. Now that's important, because in studying scripture, he introduces this allegorical approach to interpretation. Now, if you're familiar with C.S. Lewis and the Chronicles of Narnia, then you kind of get the idea of the allegorical approach. It uses narrative and creative imagery to depict truth and to capture the full thrust of biblical insight. According to Origen, there is the letter of the law, but then there is the spiritual implication behind it. He argues that you cannot fully understand a text practically without grasping the meaning of it spiritually. It is through this method that Origen is able to trace the revelation of Christ through all the Old Testament texts. All of that long and monotonous and boring stuff in the Old Testament, like like Numbers and Leviticus, all that stuff that people skip over when they're reading the Bible, you know what I'm talking about. Well, Origen would use his method to reveal Christ in those most unlikely passages, and we owe him a debt of gratitude for that. Origen of Alexandria, a giant of the faith, another church father who just so happens to be Black, and he reminds us that Black history is church history.